was afraid of. Not sure this stuff's quite ready to be sanded. It's been curing for 5 days now, and it's barely sandable. But the good news is, once it hardens, the stuff is super durable. You know what? And it's probably these thick spots that aren't super sandable. This thinner, proper paint is probably fine. So I think what's gonna happen is I'm not gonna fuss too much with these runny spots. So these were caused by the sprayer that I used. In an earlier video, I got a Graco cordless painter, cordless airless painter, and I was super excited to try it on this project. Here goes nothing, guys. I'm not sure if I'm gonna love or hate this sprayer. And every time I would make a stroke here, at the end of the stroke, the sprayer would put a squirt of paint, and then come back this way and a squirt of paint. So all over this thing, there's a squirt there, a squirt there, a squirt there, a squirt there. Super frustrating. And it got worse. I tried spraying paint thinner and stuff like that, and it was able to do it. But when it came time to spray the railings, let's just say I had a meltdown. I couldn't really sleep wondering if it was me or the sprayer that was causing the problem. And so I made one last attempt. I took the sprayer, I cleaned it thoroughly, cleaned the tip, cleaned the gun, cleaned everything, clean, and tried it again. And lo and behold, it was spraying well. I did thin the paint just a teeny tiny little bit. Now I don't know. I'm not sure if it was just something that had gotten in the tip and was creating a clog or something like that. So what I want to do is I want to second coat, 2-coat this base. I've got 1 coat on there. It was a very mediocre paint job at best. And because this is going to spend a lot of its life in the weather and it's a project that I'm really proud of, I'm going to try and put a second coat on here. If things go well, I also bought extra paint, and we're going to try to get that railing knocked out. The weather for this project has been horrible. Horrible, like weather we would expect to have in February and March, and we're getting close to summer, and I don't think the weather really knew. So here I am. This paint got messed up by the sprayer, by some rain, and by the tarp that I had to throw on it. So overall, the paint has had a tough go. If everything goes good, I'm excited to hit the railing with the color that I picked out. We're gonna try that with the airless again, and hopefully it'll go well this time. I think this paint is far more durable than a rattle can if you can get it on and you can let it cure. It's a bit of a patience act. And then it's time to move on to the thing that I'm super excited about on this project. Yeah, it's just gumming up the sandpaper. That sucks. I was hoping to knock some of this down a little bit. And stuff is not even sandable yet after 5 days. That's incredible. I wonder what that is. Some corrosion or eggs or something. That's really weird. It's like a white chalky substance. Much better. Uh-oh, that's acting clogged. Let's try that. That's better. Much better. Not getting any of those squirts at the end of my runs, which is really important. It's not going on too heavy, which is good. Not too much overspray, which is nice. Nice. That's much better. Where was this the other day? couldn't quite get enough here. I was trying, you can see all this paint that ran down through here. So I was trying to spray this, and all I was getting was just horrible mess. Look at that. Where was that the other day? Much better. Nice. That was a little heavy. A little heavy. That might run. Oops. A little too close on that one. Look how far this paint's going, guys. That paint that I sprayed the other day was a mess. It was like I wasted so much paint. So much paint. Looking good. So what happened? What changed? There's nothing more frustrating, guys, than when you change something and it works. You're not sure what changed. Hey, I just painted that. Yeah, get off there. Just painted that. Bye. Uh-oh. There's a clog. Uh-oh. See, now what's it doing? Uh-oh. So the tip's acting clogged now. Spraying in a weird, look at that. Spraying to one side. There we go. There we go. Looks good. We're running out of paint. Oh, you guys are all covered in paint. Oh man, hold on. This camera was white, now it's kind of a grayish color. What a difference, guys. Like, where was this painter, the sprayer the other day? I mean, start and stop, good even spray. You painters out there can see that. This is not automotive paint, so don't compare this to your car that came off the lot. I didn't do 50 coats, 1 mil thick, sand between coats. I didn't do all that stuff. But the paint should still go on fairly uniform, right? Instead of blotchy. That worked really good. And I went through less than half of the quart of paint to put a full coat on this. Of course, it wasn't a base coat, so there's that. But that's about how much paint I expected to use on this instead of a full quart. And last time I blew through a quart, partly because I spent half my time wasting paint trying to figure out why the sprayer was being difficult. So I feel a lot better about this. So you have to kind of ignore these blotches from the other day. But that paint looks nice and uniform. It's pretty sunny at the moment, although we're getting some huge buildup today, which they forecasted, and it's only early afternoon, so they're gonna get bigger, they're gonna get worse. Thankfully, the air right now is super still. We've got a little high pressure system over us right now. There are some massive thunderheads around us, and I'm really hoping they don't wander this way. And here's hoping if they don't get up to the jet stream, they'll just stay put where they're at and give those fine folks a big summer rain, and it'll stay away from this. This is done. I'm probably gonna put this back inside now because I just don't wanna risk having it rain on it again. Well, man, leave it outside, right? It's sunny, so why not leave it outside? That's a tough one. I'm gonna leave it in the sun. I'm gonna leave the forklift right there though, so if I have to, I can just boom it inside and get it out of the rain. So this is where the meltdown really happened. I tried to thin the paint, and in the end I made it too thin, but I had to prove to myself that the paint was sprayable with an airless. So I hooked up the other small Graco airless that we have to prove to myself that it could be sprayed. And if you look at that finish right there, for one coat of paint, that's not half bad. Unfortunately, I'd already messed with the paint too much, and it didn't turn out very good. The big sprayer takes way too much paint to prime and clean up and such, and I just didn't have enough paint to get the job done. I made a really difficult decision to not wipe this down and clean all this paint off of here. This portion of this project has become extremely frustrating just because I'm trying to learn so many different things, or not perfect, but improve so many things on one project. And I feel like I took a big gamble using that sprayer, and I feel like I paid a big price. I think the lesson for me there is be wary of using any type of new technology on a project that you think is really critical. Use only things that are proven to you to work. Even if it's a little slower, like a paintbrush, you're more likely to get the result you're looking for. And then when you have something that maybe you just don't care about, or some other way of testing new technologies, even if people rave about them. Do that instead. So this one's a mess. There are runs, paint runs everywhere. I guess in a way, I feel like this is not a classic car. I'm not going to be taking it to a car show. It's more just a piece of pride for me. So the goal today is to knock this out and get the orange coat on here in such a fashion that I feel like it's basically done, and all we have to do is let it cure. Not good. Not good. That's better. Still too streaky. That's better. Ooh. See that, guys? Right there. Right at the end. Squirt, 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 squirt. Not acceptable. Uh-oh. That's exactly what it was doing before. Exactly. Let's try priming it a little bit. Oof. Nope. All right, so I guess we'll take the tip off and see if that's the problem. Uh-oh. It's doing it again. See it right there? Boom. Every time. What in the devil's? That's so frustrating. I can't believe it's the paint thickness. I guess we can thin this just a little bit more. I don't want to go too much thinner. Well, I've ruined another batch of paint. Nope, still there. There is something in the tip though. It's not spraying straight. Or it doesn't seem like it anyway. Is that the battery? Oh, maybe it is the battery. Let's try a different battery. How about that? Oh. Check that out, guys. It's not even spraying at all now. We're getting nothing. Oh, we got paint there. So something's fouled up in the tip. Well, this is how you waste paint, guys. Well, that's better. Just a little squirt right at the end there. That might just be, well, I don't know, too low pressure. Let's go up. Nope. There it is. Right at the end, every time. Man. Well, if you guys are still with me, I think it's time to call it quits on that thing. Why did it spray good on the gray? I don't know. It's a good question. Figure that out, you let me know. shade at the moment is being brought to you by that ridiculously tiny little cloud right there. I was like, shade? Where's the shade coming from? Guys, I figured it out. I spray painted for a little while. It didn't take very long for that to get old. And I said to myself, you have to know. Are you guys like me? Are you just like obsessively inquisitive? When something doesn't work, you have to like dig until you figure it out? Well, in the front of this machine right here, behind the spray tip, is a valve. According to the parts breakdown, it's called the front valve. And inside, it appears to be a double check valve. It's spring loaded. And when you pull the trigger, that's what keeps it from basically doing what it's been doing, spitting paint at the end of your stroke or the beginning. There was a tiny piece of debris in there. And what tipped me off was, as I was cleaning up the sprayer with mineral spirits, I took the tip off and I was spraying without the tip, which basically should be pretty consistent flow. It shouldn't really change much. And when I would let off the trigger, there was actually a leak down. You could hear the valve was actually leaking, which it shouldn't do, right? It should hold pressure. That way we don't get the effect that we've been having. Well, it took me a while, but I figured out how to get the sprayer apart. I figured out how to get the front valve off, and I took some time and ran some water through it and cleaned the debris out of it. And then I strained my orange paint again, and I didn't really find anything. It's clean. I don't know. There's nothing in the strainer. There's nothing in a paper towel. I looked and looked and looked. So I'm not really sure when this piece of debris got into the sprayer, but it must have been right from the get-go, like long time ago, from the first paint. Really drive you nuts. And I'm not sure why it all of a sudden started spraying better, but it happened after I cleaned everything. So either I dislodged the debris or a new piece of debris, something along those lines. But I think what's important is that the sprayer seems to be working really good with the orange paint. So maybe the moral of the story here is triple strain your paint. I'm not really sure. I didn't like the spray paint. I think that goes without saying. You know, it didn't turn out terrible. Of course, I've also learned don't judge paint before it dries. A lot of times the colorant or the propellant, once it evaporates, the paint really takes on a darker hue. Otherwise, it kind of looks transparent. You can sort of see through it. So I ended up spraying 3/4 of the railing with the sprayer. Although, because I screwed around so much trying to diagnose this sprayer and it being difficult, I burned through a lot of my orange paint. So I'm down to a very small amount of fairly thinned paint. But it's actually spraying the thinned paint fine. So it works out. You can put it on in super thin coats, which I guess sometimes you would prefer that anyway. What a trip. This sprayer has been in my head for over a week, like almost losing sleep over it. Let's just say the railing's a mess, but it's orange. It's an orange mess. On a positive note, I guess that was a positive note. On a second positive note, it's a beautiful day. There's no wind, but the bugs are seeming to be attracted to my paint. So that's the only bad thing that's happening right now. All of a sudden is that all the bugs seem to want to go for a swim in my paint. Finally, I think we're ready to move on to today's exciting part, or at least the part that I'm super excited about. Well, this kind of got me excited, can you tell? Now for the fun stuff. Uh-oh, that one is not 3 11/16. That explains it. That's not a 48-inch board. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Perfect.